Chapter 5, Key Business Functions. In this chapter, you should know there are 6 key business functions. I'll use the shortcut form for you to memorize these functions, what we call HIFORM, HIFORM. Okay, there are 6 functions. H stands for Human Resources Management. I stands for Information Management. Okay, it is about 5.5 subtopic. F stands for 5.2 Financial Management. O stands for 5.3 Operations Management. R stands for 5.6 Risk Management. M stands for 5.4 Marketing Management. Okay, at last we'll come to 5.7. We should know these functions have interrelationship. They are not separated and isolated from each other, and there should be an integrated nature of different business functions. Okay, this PowerPoint shows the relationship between what you have learned, the management function, which are printed in blue, POLC. P stands for planning, O organizing, L stands for leading, C stands for controlling. It means that there are 6 business functions. Under these functions, we have 6, okay, which are printed in yellow, which are IFORM functions. Each of the functions have different management function. Okay, so for human resources management, there should be management. Okay, for information, there should be management. F, financial, there should be POLC management function. Okay. Okay, let's come across the HIFORM one by one. First one, human resources management ensures that the company has enough staff with suitable skills to accomplish the company objectives. As you know, what management would do is to achieve the company goals. In other words, we call accomplish company goals. So these functions aims to achieve the company goals. So they play different kinds of roles. Human resources management is trying to ensure there are enough staff or employees which have different or suitable skills and knowledge for a company to accomplish their goals. The purpose of the human resources management is to improve the productive contribution of people to the organization. It's very simple for you to know human resources is about people. Okay, what people is a very important asset to the organization. So the human resources management is trying to ensure these employees are productive enough to achieve the goals. Okay, let's look at the role of the human resources management. As we call management, we should have POLC. That means this management aims to plan, organize, lead, and control all the functions or tasks of human resources department. The human resources department will offer professional advice on human resources policies and procedures. These two words are a little bit difficult to students. Every organization should have formal policies and procedures for the employees to follow. So if there are not such formal policies or procedures, the employees do not know what to do and what kind of steps they should follow to achieve the goals or to achieve the task. The human resources management, okay, in short, is called HR. Okay, HR understand and anticipate the motives and actions of the workers. So the HR will pay more efforts to study the response or motives of the workers to see if they are satisfied with their work. The HR department will establish controls, POLC, remember, controls such as budgeting and the use of statistical records covering labor turnover, grievances, accidents, and other personnel matters to improve person performance. Labor turnover is very important to an organization. If it means the employees will go away, will leave the company, or the employees will go in the company. That means the company will hire some new employees. If the turnover rate is very high, it means there must be some problems in the organization which cannot keep the labor in doing the job in the company. So the HR department will try to study the turnover rate to keep the turnover rate as low as possible. Of course, if the employees have many grievances, that means dissatisfaction upon the company's policy or the company's task, they will leave the company. So the HR department is trying to keep such kind of grievances as low as possible. Of course, accidents and other personal matters are all affairs which should be dealt by the human resources management. HR department will work with top management in the formulation of personnel strategies and policies. I remember there are 3 levels of management. One is top management, one is middle management, and the third is frontline management. For top management, these managers will try to see in strategical manner to try to formulate policies for all the departments to follow. So the HR department will come with the top management to cooperate with the top management to formulate some strategies and policies. Okay, the HR department will also initiate flexibility and adjustment to changing labor conditions and keep a balance among all the departments. It means the labor conditions will change all the time, such as in Hong Kong, the unemployment rate is very, very low. It means the labor has a very high opportunity to change their job if the other companies can pay higher for them. So in order to keep the employees in the company, to avoid further training for new employees, so the HR department is trying to have some flexibility and try to adjust their strategies in keeping the labor in the company. Of course, there should be some balances among different departments. Second, in short, that means in conclusion, the HR management is about the use of human resources to achieve business objectives or goals. Okay, Papi, why is human resources management is so important? Okay, number one, it acts as a manpower planning or human resources planning. What is it? It assesses the business environment and plans the workforce needed by the organization in the future. That means if your company is going to open some branches in Hong Kong or in the mainland, the HR department will try to assess how many employees will be needed, what we call workforce will be needed by the organization or by the branches which will be set up in Hong Kong or in the mainland. So the HR department is trying to see how many employees or what kind of employees should be needed. Okay, the second important is staffing. Staffing, it means it is a process of recruitment, selection, and placement. Just something like this. The HR department will recruit new staff, new workers to the company. They will sit together and see their application, see their qualifications. Of course, they will do some selection. Of course, there are a lot of applicants, okay, maybe applying to the company because the company is so big and the company has a high chance of promotion, good prospect, and so and so. So the board of the human resources managers or employees, officers will select the most suitable employees to the company. Of course, once the employee is recruited and hired, they were placed in different positions of the company. Third importance is training and development or educational programs. Even though the employees may have already got some knowledge and skills, but in order to suit the needs of the of the employment or organization, the company will also provide training. By providing some workshops or programs for them. So remember, all these things require cost. Okay. The HR department will develop this employees with the suitable skills needed by the company. Okay. You need to look at the words. Provide employees with necessary skills, knowledge, and ability. Just like this. The HR department will organize communication workshops, skills workshop for the employees. Communication skills is very important in every business. So remember, student, okay, try to improve your communication skills. Okay, the third importance is the performance management. Remember, after the workers have fulfilled their jobs, but the quality or the achievement of the job or the task will be assessed by the human resources department, what we call performance management. So the human resources department will evaluate employees' performance. They should have a fair performance appraisal scheme, which will measure the contribution of employees. What we call contribution means how much effort employees have paid in their job, in their duties, or to meet the SMART goal. If the employees can achieve what he or she has been assigned to, he may get much more rewards. Okay, number 5, compensation and benefit management. After the performance appraisal system have been used and conducted, some employees will get more benefit. So the HR department will formulate some policies in the compensation and benefit schemes for the employees. So it administers the compensation system by using job evaluations and salary surveys. That means the employees will be assessed. Okay, the outcomes of the jobs will be assessed. What we call job evaluations. Maybe a questionnaire will be used, or the statistics for their performance or the data for their performance will be used to evaluate their job success. And the salary surveys. Of course, the company will study the working environment and the salaries increase in the whole market. So if the employees have achieved what they are assigned, they may get some rewards by a salary increase. Okay, but how much increase? What is the percentage for the increase will be confined by the salary surveys. Okay, number 6, maintenance of a quality workforce. This is very important. I've told you that workforce or employees are access to a business. So if the workforce is of high quality, the chance of success of the business will be higher. So what maintenance would require is to monitor employees' health, morale, absenteeism, and turnover. That means if employees are always sick, they cannot come to the business, okay, and do their job well. So in order to maintain a quality workshop, the HR department will give advice to top management to make sure the employees are working in a healthy environment. Of course, morale is very important. If the employees see the top management or the overall culture of the business is very good, harmonious, and with passion, the morale will be increased. Number three, absenteeism. Students are always not to be absent. If the employees are always absent, we'll see the reasons why they were absent and try to change this situation. Of course, these employees will be interviewed by the human resources managers. If the employees are not satisfied with the job, they will go away. They will leave the job. So what we call turnover. You see this PowerPoint. The company will buy insurance for employees to make sure that if they are sick, they will see a doctor with low pay, with low fee, because the insurance will cover some of the doctor's fee and medicine fee. Okay, number seven, industrial relations. Industrial relations refer to the relationship between employers and employees and the employment conditions. Of course, in order to build up the good relations between employers and employees, the human resources department will do a lot to perform some functions to keep good contact between them. You see, they'll organize some annual dinner, some drawings, lucky draws for the employees so that they were happy with the company. Okay, let's look at the quick quiz. Number one, state the human resources function of each activity below. Activity A, formulating the year-end bonus policy. Okay, which function I mentioned before? Formulating the year-end bonus policy. Of course, it is a kind of reward, right? It's a kind of compensation for the service of the employees. So this is the function of compensation and benefit and management. B, interviewing job applicants. That means the human resources management will select the most suitable employees to the company. So this is a matter of staffing. C, holding English courses for staff. Okay, this is a kind of workshop or program to ensure the employees will develop good skills, some skills that are important to the business. This is training and development. Okay, question number two, determine whether the following are tasks in human resources management. We are given three tasks. A, the principal estimates the staffing for the coming year. That means that the principal, Mr. Lee, will see if an recruitment will be needed in May this year to make sure that there may be new staff come to the school. So this kind of staffing is or not, okay, a kind of task in the human resources management? Yes, yes, all right. Okay, number two, determine the maximum capacity of a restaurant. That means how many seats can be provided for the customers at the same time. It's not a job. It's not a job of the human resources management because it's not about human. It's about capacity. Do you know which function is related in this case? Maximum capacity. Which function? High form HIFORM. Which one? Is it about human resources? Of course not, right? I, information. Form, F, financial. O, operation. R, risk. M, marketing. Which one? The answer is no, of course, right? It should be operation. Okay, operation. Okay, see, the bus company provides free rides for its staff and the family members. Free rides for its staff is very good for the family of the bus driver, right? It's a kind of compensation, right? Compensation. Okay, question, why is human resources management necessary for a business? Okay, it refers back to the definition of human resources management. It ensures that the business has enough staff with suitable skills in order to accomplish the company objectives. After the human resources management, we come to 5.2 financial management first. Okay, although the format is called my shortcut is called high form. Okay, let's go in sequence of the PowerPoint. We come to financial management first. What is it? Okay, it concerns the efficient and effective management of the finances of an organization. Finances means money, means funds, Funds, of an organization in order to achieve its organizational objectives. You commonly see these words. Okay, last time we see accomplish organizational objectives. This time we use the word achieve its organizational objectives. This is what management function would require. Okay, to achieve organizational goals or organizational objectives. Okay, so the high form will try uh, the best in the fields of work to achieve organizational roles. Okay, this time financial management means finances. Okay. Okay, this time we're going to see the role of financial management. What is the primary task of financial management? Financial manager. His task is to plan for the acquisition and use of funds so as to maximize the value of the firm. Without capital, without funds, without money, the organization cannot work and develop in the future. So the financial managers will try to see how many, the amount of funds that can be raised for the business. Of course, such kind of funds will be used to develop, invest, or put into other alternative uses in order to get the most rate of return, what we call to maximize the value of the firm. The responsibilities of a manager is to plan and control the provision of resources and to allocate the resources. That means, in short, the financial manager is trying to get money. In more technical terms, we'll call resources. Okay, resources. And of course, when the financial management manager gets money from the other places, other sources, the manager will allocate the resources to different departments for use to achieve the organizational goals. Of course, within the functions of the management, POLC, the manager will also control the financial resources and to work with the top manager to manage the finances. Why is financial management important? Number one is about sources of financing. There are different kinds of sources of financing. Maybe the capital can be raised internally or externally. This is what we call internal funds or external funds. Second is called debt financing or equity financing. Third, we'll call short-term debt or long-term debt. These funds may be categorized in these three classes. Okay. For the first class, internal or external funds, it means internal to the company or organization. That means the funds raised by the owners. Say, for example, for sole proprietorship, that means the business with only one owner. If we are talking about internal funds, it means the owner is trying to raise capital by himself or herself. Say he or she will use his or her savings to further invest, okay, in the business. This is what we call internal funds. And external funds, it is external to the organization. It usually comes from the borrowing from banks or other financial institutions or people. Okay. If we come to debt financing or equity financing, we are talking about the same thing in different aspects. What I mentioned, borrowing from banks is a kind of debt financing. Debt, DEBT, means liabilities. That means the organization will borrow money from external to the business. Of course, the company will may borrow money from the banks or financial institutions, or the company may issue bonds, bonds, or debentures, same thing, okay, debentures, debentures. It is a certificate which are issued to the banks or other financial institutions to prove that the company has borrowed money from the banks or other institutions. This is what we call debt financing. For equity financing, it means equity means ownership. That means they will increase the amount of ownership in the business. What I call the sole proprietorship in equity financing is to make use of the savings of the owners to further invest in the business. For partnership, the business may invite additional partners in the business. Of course, funds will come to the business for development or for paying off debts. For limited companies, they will issue new shares to existing shareholders or new shareholders. Okay, what we call here is called equity financing. Third one is short-term and long-term debt. Okay, if the debt we use to 1 year, okay, to distinguish between short-term and long-term debts. For debts within 1 year, that means what we call mature, mature. If the debt mature in 1 year, it's called short-term debt. More than 1 year, we call long-term debt. This is the picture for you to have a short conclusion. Okay, second, financial manager will do financial analysis. They will assess the performance of the business from a range of accounting ratios. You have learned some ratios in paper 1. It's called current ratio, quick ratio, gross profit ratio, net profit ratio, and return on capital employed. Okay, there are also further ratios which are used to assess the performance of the business in this year or across businesses in the same industry. Third, capital investment appraisal. It's called capital budgeting, which is a process of planning and managing a business long-term investments. If, say for example, if you are the financial manager of a construction company to build a bridge for the Hong Kong government, you'll try to see how much resources or funds will be needed for this large project. As well, you'll manage the funds to see the allocation of the funds will be suitable in this long-term project. Second, you determine the optimal rate of growth and decide on specific investments to be made. That means you have already raised $10 million for a project. You'll try to decide if this amount will be used to invest in project A. If the project A has a lower return than project B, the company will make use of the concept of opportunity cost to use its resources to do project B instead of project A, because project A has a lower return for the business. So the financial manager will try to make use of. Okay, number 4, working capital management. The manager will manage cash flow and determine optimal inventory levels and setting a credit policy with a manageable level of credit risk. It means capital management has a formula of the difference between current assets minus current liabilities. Okay, I repeat, working capital is equal to current assets minus current liabilities. You remember the content of current liabilities or in current assets? Current assets. Okay, the first one is closing inventory. Number 2, trade receivables. Number 3, bank cash. Do you remember? For current liabilities, we have trade payables, short-term bank loan, bank overdraft. Remember, we are talking about current assets and current liabilities. It means the debt will be paid off within 1 year of time. So the company should have enough or sufficient current assets to meet the needs of the short-term debts. So the company or the manager will try their best to maintain sufficient cash flow. Cash flow means money, cash, in order to meet the short-term debts. Of course, I'm talking about the closing inventory. That means if the company keeps a lot of stock. Remember, stock has a low liquidity. Low liquidity means low ability to turn into cash. That means if you keep a lot of stock, it is very hard for you to sell these stocks in order to get cash. Okay, so the financial manager will advise the other departments, such as the operations department, to keep an optimal level of inventories. Of course, what we are talking about trade receivables, we are talking about setting a credit policy with a manageable level of credit risk. Remember, usually when we are doing business, that means we are making sales to the customers. We will offer a credit period for the customers to pay their debts. Say, for example, 1 month, 2 months. If the credit policy is very lenient, I mean loose, that means the company will stay for a lot of time before cash can be collected. Remember, cash is very important to meet short-term debts. Without sufficient cash, the business will go into trouble. So the financial manager will see if the credit policy is controllable or not, in order to keep the credit risk as low as possible. Credit risk means the risk that what we call default risk. Default risk means is the ability of the customers to settle their debts. Number 5, financial planning and budgeting. It is a budget, okay, which is a tool to project the business sales, income, and expenses for a given period of time. That means, say for example, 2019 is coming. If you are the financial manager, will you do some budget to project the sales income for 2019 or the year to come? Of course, in order to get sales, you have to incur expenses or cost. So you have to plan beforehand to the expenses and sales to see if the business will get gross profit and net profit in the next year. The manager will compare the actual income expenses with the budget regularly. That means do not be lazy enough not to do anything during the year. The manager will keep on looking at the actual expenses and actual incomes. That means the financial manager will study the report from different branches. Say, for example, G2000, okay? They will collect the report from different branches about the sales in different branches and expenses that have been incurred in different branches, to compare with the budget regularly to see if the goals of the sales volume can be accomplished at the end of the year. The financial manager will see the distributions of profits to the owners or the shareholders. They will give the advice to the board of directors on how much dividends will be distributed to shareholders. Because the financial manager will study the income statement and statement of financial position to see if the financial position of the business is sound enough, I mean good enough, if dividends will be distributed to the shareholders. That means some cash will flow out from the business. The financial manager will see if the cash should be kept in the business. Maybe the cash will be used for paying off the debts, short-term debts, or to use for development. Okay, maybe a project is coming. The financial manager will advise the board of directors to keep some cash, more cash, in order to meet the project. Let's study, distinguish whether each of the following budgets is long-term or short-term. Remember, long-term more than 1 year, short-term less than 1 year. It's very simple. A, the income budget of services revenue for the next 6 months. Next 6 months. Long-term or short-term? Very simple, okay? Short-term, less than 1 year. B, the budget of wage expenses for next 9 months. 9 months. Again, short-term. C, the budget of sales for next 18 months. 18 months, that means more than 1 year. The answer is long-term. Very simple. 5, what sources of financing can the businesses below choose? Yeah, we're talking about debt financing and equity financing. Debt financing means borrowing money. Equity financing means issuing shares or getting savings from the owners. A, HSBC Holdings, means Hong Kong Bank, okay, Hong Kong Shanghai Banking Corporation Holdings. PLC means public limited company. Public limited company. What kind of sources of finance will we use? It's very simple. Equity financing and debt financing. Because Hong Kong Bank is a very big business, it may raise capital by issuing debentures or bonds to the public or to another banks or financial institutions. Of course, Hong Kong Bank can also issue shares to the existing shareholders or new shareholders, what we call equity financing. B, barber shop. Barber shop. Jointly owned by Mr. Chen and Mr. Lee. Okay, it is a kind of partnership. So can Mr. Chen and Mr. Lee make use of debt financing? You see or not? Or equity financing? That means inviting partners to the business? Of course, the answer is both. They can borrow money. They'll go to bond, okay, bond or the banks to get resources, get money. Or they may also invite new partners into the business. The houseware store solely owned. Now remember the word, keep in mind of the word solely. Solely means only one by Ms. Leung. Of course, Ms. Leung can also borrow money from the bank, although the amount of loans is not very big. But it can, Ms. Leung can also use her savings further invest into his store. Number 2 questions. Explain whether a small boutique needs financial management. Keywords small boutique. The answer is small boutique needs financial management. We strictly answer the question. Okay, needs financial management. For example, it has to acquire capital to pay for operating expenses. What we call examples of operating expenses are rent, salaries, rates, electricity expense, so it's okay. To perform financial analysis for controlling and to set a credit policy to manage working capital. Even though it is a small shop, small business, the financial manager is still to be needed in this shop. Okay, after human resources management and financial management, we come to operations management. Look at this. The definition of operation is to refer to any processes that accept inputs and use resources to change those input to goods and services. Let us look at this. The inputs are, examples of inputs are labor, capital, and materials. We make use of these resources. Labor means worker, means employees. Capital means money, funds. materials. Of course, if we want to produce iPhone, we need materials. We need plastic. We need metal case. We need some components to make or to produce iPhone X. Okay, and we turn these inputs through what we call transformation facilities, such as plants, such as shops. Okay, maybe it may be very large, it may be very small place. We will add value to the inputs. Add value means to increase its function. It means these things are of lower value. Where we combine these resources or inputs to produce iPhone X, of course, is of much higher value than the individual labor value, individual funds value, or materials. Okay. After adding the value in the plant or factory or small shop, you will become goods or services. Okay. Of course, all these things will be collected. The information will be collected and give some feedback which affect the inputs later. Operations management is the management of systems or processes that produce goods and or provide services. It is about the systems and processes. Think of McDonald's. Every day you go to McDonald's, there is a system. Before the hamburgers are delivered to your hands. Okay, let's come to the role of operations management. Remember, all the time, you should think of McDonald's, Cathay Coral, iPhone factory as an example for you to see what are the roles of operations management. Let us look at the task for operations management. Number one, it turn Mr. N, okay, Turning, okay, turning inputs into quality products. For McDonald's, the input is beef, potato chips, that means a potato, Coca-Cola with the bottles. We turn these inputs into quality outputs to produce hamburgers, a bottle of Coca-Cola, potato chips, quality outputs. Minimizing the product cost. Of course, the operations management will try to reduce the product cost. Of course, everything can be produced at a high expenses. If you are the operations management, you try to keep the cost as low as possible. Why is operations management important? Number one, capacity planning. To ensure that a company's capacity slightly exceeds the normal demand for its project. Say, for example, if McDonald's, okay, you have the operations manager of McDonald's. Every day you see that you know that 100 hamburgers is needed to cater the needs of the customers. You should not prepare 1,000 hamburgers in McDonald's in Shanghai Estate, right? Because the 900 hamburgers left at the end of the day becomes useless. It is a waste of resources, a waste of money. If you are the operations manager, you will be killed by the top manager, right? So you try to keep a little bit higher capacity than a normal demand. That means if 100 is the normal demand, you try to keep 110, okay, to meet a slightly higher demand for his project. Go on, capacity planning. Companies compete with one another by keeping transportation, labor, and distribution costs low. You have mentioned that another task for operations manager is to keep the product cost to a minimum level. Because if you cannot buy materials or employ labor at lower cost, you cannot have a good profit. You cannot compete with the other companies in the same kind of industries. So you try to keep the supply of materials as low as possible. Of course, the supply of materials include transportation of these materials to the business. So you try to keep the delivery cost as low as possible. Okay, labor cost, of course, you try to employ labor of I mean not minimal wages, but an appropriate wages. You'll see the distribution of chemical plant is usually situated near the rivers because chemical plant requires a lot of water to cool the product, to cool the to cool in the production, during the production, and water which is very hot during the production can be discharged to the river in order to cool down. Of course, this will cause some pollution in the river. Number 3, production planning and control. Let's look at McDonald's as an example. McDonald's will try to use its operation facilities as efficient as possible to produce quality goods in time to meet customer needs. That means you come to McDonald's at the end of the school day, the McDonald's manager will try to meet the needs, your needs, and to produce hamburgers as efficient as possible. That means to produce sufficient number of customers' needs in a short period of time. So it's called efficient production. The production planning and control process also include to formulate production schedule. That means every day, being a operations manager, you'll see if the production schedule is efficient or not, is good or not. What we call formulate the schedule. Second, you'll try to balance the capacity of the production facilities with existing or estimated customer orders. What we call balance. That means if the existing or estimated customer orders is about 100, you'll see if your production capacity is enough to meet their needs. Number 3, to monitor the progress of production to ensure that the production schedule is complied. Let us look at the iPhone X, the production of iPhone X as an example. The production schedule is, say, for example, to produce 100,000 iPhone X per month. If you are an operations manager, you would see day by day, week by week, if the production schedule is met. Otherwise, at the end of the month, if you are not able to produce the enough amount, okay, the sufficient amount to be exported to the USA, you'll be punished, you'll be sued for great amounts of money. Number 4, layout design. Let us look at this. It is about the arrangement of equipment and facilities in the plant. If it is a McDonald's, the operations management will try to see where the seats are placed, what kind of seats are used, and where should the toilet be, so and so. This is called the layout design. Okay, when talking about operations, material management is a very important field of work. Material management includes all the activities relating to the purchases of materials, control and movement of all materials and supplies used in the production. Movement of all materials and supplies means the transport of materials from the suppliers to the firm. Not only the quantity of the materials is an important work for the operations management. The quality is also important. The quality of the materials is also important. What we call quality management. It is a management approach that involves every department of a company to improve the quality, products, and services to meet the needs and expectations of customers. So when you go to McDonald's, you expect a high quality hamburgers. Okay, of course you do not need a hamburger which was sold, which was produced overnight, last night. McDonald's will try to keep its food as fresh as possible. Number 6 question: which of the following is or are the work of operations management? A, to ensure there's sufficient raw materials for the production process. The keyword is raw materials. Question. Okay, the answer is of course yes. B, to ensure the product produced by the production process can be sold. The keyword is sold. When talking about operations manager, we're not trying to see whether the product can be sold or not. It is a job of marketing department to ensure the products are sold. So the answer is no. C, to avoid any stop in the production process. Okay, keyword is production process. Operations, production, yes. Another question, how can a pharmaceutical factory maintain its products quality by total quality management, TQM? Okay, it is a kind of management which ensures the products can be made or produced with good quality. Okay, first of all, if you are the operations manager or the pharmaceutical factory, you should make sure the raw materials to be used to produce the medicine should be of good quality. Second, production. Of course, if the quality of raw material is of no problem, the second consideration is how the raw materials is used to produce the medicine. If you are the operations manager, you should make sure the production facilities is clean enough. Of course, you should try to maintain, to keep good maintenance of the facilities. So the keyword is to regulate the maintenance and hygiene of the production facilities. Coming up, you'll see the case about Fairwood operations. Fairwood. This picture is about the layout design. The next picture is about employees. It is the work of human resources department. Number 1, what source of capital has Fairwood used since 1991? When we are talking about source of capital, we are mentioning debt financing or equity financing. You know, Fairwood has its shares listed in the stock market. It is a public listed company. So the answer is equity financing because Fairwood can raise funds in the Hong Kong stock market by issuing shares to the shareholders. The capital is provided by the shareholders. Number 2, explain how Fairwood provides quality services to customers through operations management. Number 1, the layout design. Of course, the layout design is about provide a better environment for the customer. So and of course, to ensure the quality of the food is able to meet the expectations of the customers. So number 1, layout design uses a central food processing plant to ensure food quality and raise efficiency. You know, if the lunch boxes produced is of different qualities, of different tastes for the same menu, the customers will not satisfy with this. So in order to ensure the good quality or the quality of uniform quality, we call uniform quality among different branches, different stores, shops. Fairwood will use a central food processing plant. That means there is a plant, a factory to produce the same kind of food which are to be delivered to different areas of shops. Second, material management. Fairwood will use the SAP Enterprise Resources Planning System to avoid wastage of ingredients, food, and ensures the consistency of quality. This system you will not be examined because you see this system, the works mentioned here in the textbook. Of course, the PowerPoint does not show SAP. Okay, so you do not worry. You should not be worried about this. You just see how material management is so important to Fairwood to avoid wastage of food or ingredients. Number three, quality management. Fairwood will install new equipment in the central food processing plant to ensure food safety and quality. And number three is about human resources management. You are required to explain the reason for the company to provide various benefits to employees. Of course, employees is an asset to Fairwood. So Fairwood will try to attract and maintain catering personnel. Maintain means to keep catering personnel and not to reduce or increase the turnover rate. Number two, to motivate existing staff. If employees are given a lot of benefits by providing extra work or to fulfilling their task, they will be motivated to do much more for the business. Number four, explain how persistent inflation would affect the financial performance of Fairwood. You are talking about income statement, the net profit, gross profit. Okay, persistent inflation will increase the rent because when there is inflation, the purchasing power of money will reduce. That means if you are the owner of the premises, you increase the rent in order to cover the loss in inflation. Second, increases in wages. Every year the salaries will increase. So it is a big portion of expenses in the business. Number three, about food ingredients. I mean the material cost. Because it is a kind of catering restaurant, the food ingredients is very important, which constitutes a high cost in the business.